Whopping 74% of British adults say they're worried about climate change, as am I. Every major political party agrees and has a plan to spend billions on fixing it. 97% of publishing scientists say humans are warming up the planet with serious consequences. That's undeniable. These are numbers that even Kim Jong-un could only dream about. So what exactly is the point of this?
Oh dear, we've got a protester. We've got a protester who's throwing powder on the table. Oh, never seen the like of this before. Well, look at this.
That's a Just Stop Oil protester. And there was another one there as well, wrecking the snooker at the Crucible on Monday night. A professional imbecile who mounted the table, tossed orange powder everywhere, shrieked dementedly to a mostly working-class crowd of sports fans who'd probably spent most of the year saving up to be at snooker's big event. I would wage every penny in Elon Musk's bank account that precisely none of them, nor any of the many millions watching at home, watched that ridiculous performance and thought, oh yeah, wow, that really makes me want to support Just Stop Oil. This is the same band of selfish, mainly middle-class twerps who risk their lives and the safety of many other people by disrupting the British Grand Prix. They've regularly shut down motorways and blocked roads. They've glued themselves to priceless artworks. They've coated Ferrari and Aston Martin showrooms in paint. They threw tomato soup at a Van Gogh. And they've interrupted football matches by strapping themselves to the goalposts. They're a campaign group which is attempting to persuade the public to agree with them about something they already agree with. And they're basically doing stuff now to annoy the public as much as they possibly can and stop the public enjoying things or going about their daily lives. And if that is seriously your strategy, I would argue you have net zero brain cells. The fact is that Britain has a comparatively good record now on climate change. The world's biggest polluters, like China and Russia, have diabolical records. But have you ever seen Greta Thunberg in Moscow or Beijing, or a single Just Stop Oil protester in either of those places? Or even outside the Chinese embassy here? Well, apparently one or two of them have popped along there. But what they don't do is what they do to our lives, anywhere where the real polluters lie. And their partners in crime, Extinction Rebellion, are planning to disrupt the London Marathon this weekend, we're told. Another bunch, Animal Rising, invaded the Grand National last weekend, causing such a commotion that one of the horse trainers actually directly blamed the commotion for the death of their horse. Well, today, this whining video is released about the robust response that those Aintree protesters met from local police.
The police officers were laughing at me and calling other police officers over and saying, oh my God, look at this, look at the state of this is hilarious. And although I couldn't see, I could hear clicking and it was like they were taking pictures of me.
The officer pulling my hair was obviously behind me and I couldn't read her badge number, so I asked her to identify herself multiple times, to which she just kept repeating, you're a screaming in my ear. The other officers carrying me similarly refused to identify her, so I have no way to follow this up.
Oh, did she pull your hair? Oh no, really? You poor little chap. I think that police officer spoke for all of us. He's a... Well, joining me now is James Skeet from Just Stop Oil and fellow environmental campaigner Donica McCarthy. OK, well, I made my feelings pretty clear. Here's the problem I have with this Just Stop Oil thing, is that most people agree with the issue that you're campaigning for. Most people in the polls think there's a real problem with climate change. I'm one of them. No arguments for that. But most people, in fact, the vast majority now, are absolutely sick and tired of what Just Stop Oil are doing. They think it's puerile, pathetic, and it's not advancing the cause one iota. Nobody is walking around going, God, they've wrecked the snooker. I must come round to their cause. Why do this stuff? I don't get it.
Well, just for transparency, Piers, you've signed a deal for £50 million for this show.
You don't know what deal I've signed.
You've signed a deal for £50 million
You don't know what deal I've signed.
With
Well,
Rupert Murdoch, who sits on the board of Genie Oil and Gas. So just for transparency, just so we're all aware that that's what...
I do work for Rupert Murdoch, yes.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, he owns this network.
Yes, and he has spent decades persuading the British people and
well, let's leave Rupert Murdoch out of it. This is about
the world,
me asking you about the merits of wrecking regular life for Britons in this country. I don't get it. For example, do you support what happened at the snooker?
Of course I support what happened at the snooker.
Why? Why are you laughing?
Am I laughing?
Yeah, you are. You're smirking. And so was the guy who did the stunt at the snooker.
Look,
and here's my problem. It's all a bit of a game for you guys. You regularly get seen smirking and laughing. It's all a bit of fun. It's not fun for the people whose lives you're ruining.
Piers, when the last IPCC report was released, and that's basically the sound of the world's climate scientists banging their heads against the desks, basically, in despair that no one's listening to them, that made page 11 of the Daily Mail underneath 2 women arguing over their geraniums, right? As a result of what happened on Monday, our demand has been on the front of every.
No, your demand wasn't on the front page. That idiot was on the front page. Spraying a snooker table with orange paint.
Millions of conversations have been elicited, and if even a tenth of them draw attention to the fact that the British government are ploughing ahead with over 100 new fossil fuel licences, opening new coal mines in the middle of the worst crisis that we've ever seen, then it's a win. Don't you think?
So you think... No, I don't. I don't think it's a win at all. I think it's a massive lose, actually. I think what you're doing is alienating a public who might well be persuaded, because they show it in the polls, to come on your side.
I'm glad you agree.
But at the moment, they think you're a bunch of annoying twerps wrecking their lives. Let me bring in you here. Donegal, I don't understand why you can't... Because you're not an unintelligent person. I've followed your stuff for a few years. Why you can't understand that this is backfiring? Why you don't get that the British public are sick of it?
I think what's really interesting, Piers, is that you've just spent 5 minutes talking about tactics when you actually said you are seriously concerned about this issue.
Yeah.
And we would really welcome conversations on Talk TV about the issues. You said, the British government is doing good. Well, actually, a report came out last week from RAN about global investment in new fossil fuels. Since Copenhagen, $6 trillion invested in new fossil fuels. 15% came from the UK.
Okay, let me ask you.
Let me finish.
Okay.
I think it's a talk about an issue.
I'm going to give you a follow-up question to that, which is this.
But
tell me the
point. I need to finish the point on investment.
Tell me the carbon emissions for the UK and then for China and Russia and India.
Britain is investing 15% of the global investment in fossil fuels globally, which, according to the International Energy Agency, according to the European Investment Bank, and even HSBC are saying we do not need. Investing $7 trillion over the next 10 years is a suicide note for humanity.
Okay, so
why are we not talking about that?
So you say. But I'll ask you again.
So do the world scientists say.
Okay, yes, but there is actually a very debatable response from the scientists about exactly the best way to tackle this. Because I would listen to a woman, for example, on Nick Ferrari's show on LBC the other day, saying that within 8 years, if we stopped awarding any licences now, we'd have 8 more years of gas and oil. And then she said we could actually sustain this country for all the power we need from wind and waves.
That's what we're saying. We're agreeing.
It's completely unworkable. There is nobody with a brain who has managed to work out a way that could possibly be done in 8 years.
Do you actually...
So you guys are living...
Do you believe...
You guys are living in cloud cuckoo land.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
You are.
Piers, are you saying the European Investment Bank, HSBC, the International Energy Agency, knows more than you? Because what I am saying is quoting them.
I'm not saying they know more than me. No, I'm telling you...
Well, they are actually saying that we can't invest in new fossil fuels because we've got enough fossil fuels to last for 50 years.
In my estimation, the sensible way to do this is to move slowly off fossil fuels to renewable energy, to make it affordable and make it practical, so that we don't have half the country turned into wind farms. That's the sensible way to do this, right? And I'm up for that sensible debate. That's not why you two were booked on this show. You two were booked on this show because the methods that you're using, in my opinion, are now damaging your cause. They are actually deterring the public from supporting you. And again, I ask you, why do it? Why rick the snooker? Why go and chuck stuff at Van Gogh? Why go and do these stupid things?
Why is the government investing massive amounts in new fossil fuels when the IEA says we can't afford it? Why is the government saying one thing and doing the opposite?
You're playing whataboutery. My question is...
No, I'm not. I'm absolutely core to this issue. You're talking about a piece of powder, and I'm talking about billions being invested in destroying our
I'm talking about you being on a destructive mission to piss off the public.
Do you know who's on
and in my long time in the media, I can tell you, it's not going to work.
The very fact that we're having this conversation is a testament to the efficacy of these tactics.
It's not.
Right?
I heard you guys say this.
The fact is,
you've not
that
been
people,
brought on
the British
because
people,
of your sophisticated scientific opinion about climate change. You've been brought on. You've been brought on because your idiot friends have been once again wrecking things for people.
The fact of the matter is that we're seeing that the only real leverage that normal people have is through disruptive tactics, right? The nurses know it, the train drivers know it, the junior doctors.
So why don't you go where the real polluters are? Why don't you go to Beijing?
Because we need to get our own house in order before we go around the world telling people what to do.
You are moral cowards. You're moral cowards. It's easier to go and ruin an old granny's day at the Crucible than it is to get on a plane and go to Beijing or to get to
the fact of the matter is that we are the 8th biggest emitter historically. We have to get our own house in order before we go around the world lecturing people.
I've asked you, and I'll ask you now.
If you're talking about moral cowardice, why don't you go to Sudan?
Hang on.
Why don't you go to Pakistan and interview the people whose lives are dying and are flooded? If you were courageous and use your amazing role that you've got, you could be courageous.
Just to clarify, it's not your show.
No, but shouting doesn't work.
I do the question.
You do the shouting.
Stop shouting at me then.
Good.
You haven't answered my
question. Let's have a conversation.
Let's have a question.
That's good.
See if you can answer it. What are the CO2 emissions for this country, and what are they for China and Russia and India?
Per capita, the emissions...
Not per capita, what are the emissions?
China's emissions...
What percentage of the emissions in the world come from China?
Using childish maths is silly.
Childish maths?
Yes.
They're statistical facts.
Because, no, a country that's bigger than UK has more...
What percentage of the global emissions come from China?
Are you talking about production emissions or consumption emissions?
Just give me the emissions.
You are actually...
Those are two very different figures.
Look at you guys. You're so expert in every part of this.
No, I can tell you.
You don't want to tell me.
No, I want to tell you.
You don't want to tell me because you know the answer.
No, do why you're asking this question? You already want the answer? What I am saying is China is 20 times bigger in population than the UK, so its emissions are 20 times bigger. But our investments are 15 times.
So when are you going to Beijing?
When you go to Sudan and Pakistan.
I'll fly you to Beijing.
When you go to Sudan
I'll fly you to
Pakistan.
Beijing.
Can we agree?
I'll put you guys on a plane tomorrow to Beijing.
Piers.
I'll pay, right? You're going to go and protest?
I will go with you.
You're not, are you? You're not, because you're moral cowards.
What will it actually take?
You'd rather go and chuck paint at
stop being such a gammony windbag and listen.
I'm not a gammony windbag.
Oh my God.
I just think you guys are honestly moronic in the way you're going about this.
If you want to go to Beijing,
tango,
come with us to Pakistan, come with us to Sudan, and talk to the...
How are you going to get there?
Talk to people who are dying.
How are you going to get there?
This is the usual...
How are you going to get there?
You just invited me to Beijing, and I said, I'll go there if you go to Pakistan.
How are you going to get there?
I will fly to Pakistan.
You fly, okay. So you believe in flying?
What's it actually going to take?
That's a challenge.
Well, you've been on...
I don't fly for holidays, do you?
Danica, you've been on...
Do you fly for holidays?
You've been on national television. I watched this interview.
Do you fly for
went on my
holidays?
own programme, Good Morning Britain, and you actually said you wanted everyone to get rid of their pets. You are the great pet slaughterer.
You want to fly
Let's take a look. Let's take a look.
Do you fly for holidays?
Let's take a look.
You're just playing the person, not the actual issues.
You could be talking about human beings as well.
But
I mean, it's one thing to give up your car, but you're not going to give up a loved member of your family, which frankly is what people consider cats and dogs.
Well, if we love our members of our family, if we love our kids, do you not accept we have to look after the climate crisis? If
Well,
this source of
firstly, I want to look after my kids and my pets. That's
quite shocking. That's quite shocking. Do you understand the level of crisis that the carbon emissions are currently in the planet?
You think I shouldn't be looking after my children and my pets?
I'm saying that to look after and love your children, you have to look after your carbon emissions.
Dying in Sudan and the people drowning.
Yeah, Danica, just to be clarified, no one could hear you when that was airing. That was you saying we should all get rid of our pets. Do you stand by that?
Is this the tonality?
You wait your turn. Do you stand by that?
I stand by.
Hang on, let him answer. You said that on national TV.
What I stand by...
Do you stand by we should all get rid of our pets?
What I stand by is that you should look at the women who are dying in Sudan.
Do you answer questions, Danica? Do you answer questions?
I'm here to actually
Is this what passes for journalism when you're not hacking into murdered children's phones?
Oh, OK. So, unfortunately, you've just committed a very serious libel, because that was another newspaper, which if you were slightly more intelligent and well-informed, you would have known that allegation, which is made against me most days on Twitter by idiots like you, is actually a disgusting lie. So here's your chance to now apologise for a disgusting lie. Are you prepared to do that?
Absolutely not.
OK, well then, if I were you, I'd have a chat with your lawyers after the show and see how they react to what you've just said.
So do you think we should be having grown-up conversation about...
Well, I don't have any money.
Well, I don't think spewing disgusting, defamatory lies about something that I had nothing to do with is actually what I would call a grown-up situation.
I agree.
You want to talk about grown-up situation? You want to talk about grown-up situation?
Why don't you shut up for a minute?
For you to emotionally connect with the reality of what's happening here? You have a child.
I'm not asking you. I've got 4 children. Let me let me ask you.
And you don't.
If you could,
like,
if you could sit back.
What?
I think you've said enough for the last 5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
Let me ask you, Donnacha. Do you stand by your claim that we should get rid of all the pets?
I did not ever say that. I didn't say it. I was actually. It was actually.
And what an irrelevant discussion.
You actually want
You think that's irrelevant to a nation of pet lovers?
Hang on, I did not say that, first of all. And secondly, trying to play the person.
Millions of people
when we're
are
actually
dying.
Playing the personal.
Have you ever watched...
You want to save the human beings and get rid of all the
33
pets?
million people were displaced last year.
Yeah.
60 UK families lost their houses in wildfires as a result of 25,000 wildfires when we hit 40 degrees. And you're not emotionally connecting with the reality of this at all.
I'm emotionally connecting with you. I think you're an absolute
Because you're
idiot,
a multi-millionaire
to be honest.
and you don't care. You don't care about the British people. You don't care about the working class.
Yeah.
You
Mate,
care
what you're
about,
doing,
you
what
care
you're
about
doing,
the rich. You
what
care
you're
about
doing,
being a
what
shill
you-
for
what-
Rupert Murdoch.
What
don't
you're
you?
doing is what you silly little boys do. It just
You're calling me a silly little boy.
You silly little boys.
are you?
You come on TV.
Pathetic gammony man, baby.
You
honestly.
do your little silly sound bites for Twitter, and Twitter
Personal-
goes, "Oh, look at my little hero," whereas the rest of the public
It's-
watching
it's-
go,
it's
"Who is this
personal-
little
it's
brat?"
personal attacks.
Oh, it's those
Value.
guys that jump on snooker tables. It's those guys that
It's
ruin
no-
the Grand
it's no
National.
wonder no
It's
one's
those
having
guys
a
that do all
show,
this
honestly.
stuff.
Would you
Is
like
this the
to-
quality of it?
Can
This
I-
is why you've had to
Donnacha, do you want to try and get in? Because this guy's just
I
obviously
think what would
losing
be
it all.
really useful, rather than actually all of us indulging in personal attacks, is if we could have a serious debate and invite the oil companies in here, Piers.
But do you understand how
Can I
hard it is
finish
to have
my
a serious
point?
debate when you
Invite-
have
invite
this kind of
in the-
moron
invite in the oil
spewing
companies.
this kind of stuff?
Inviting the oil companies and things
He's a
like that, have
complete
have a
moron.
constructive debate
Am I?
about why
You
we're
are.
investing
Unfortunately,
billions
James, you are
in
a
new
complete
fossil
moron.
fuels.
What's your evidence?
Would you accept that?
The evidence is what the viewers have been
Piers.
watching. They just think you're...
I'm trying to have a serious conversation about the
they
most
think you are
critical
a
issue
total
facing
moron.
humanity, and you're talking about stuff from.
I actually do wonder what kind of humanity would be left if people like you were the only ones left. Honestly, it would be like a place. I mean, a place where you're not allowed pets.
That's
a place
not-
where
Pathetic.
people like you are running the country. I would literally rather die.
Piers, do you-
Anyway, it's been lovely catching up.